Okay, so I'm going to be translating my own story, and the reason why, sure, thank you. And the reason why is what I'll speak about later is that our language is currently in the process of being revitalized. And what that means is that for about 70 years, we didn't have speakers of our language. And we do now. And I'll describe later what that process is like and what led to the decline in our language. But what I'll do is I'm going to um, tell the story in Chochenyo, and afterwards I'll translate the synopsis of it into English. And for the greeting, when we greet each other, our standard greeting for one another is we say Horsha Truhi. Can you all say that? Horsha Truhi. Yes, and literally what it means is good day, and that's our standard greeting for one another. But the story I'm going to tell, it's called Blood Monster, and in our language we call it Payan Hit Kanakshe, which means the blood glutton. And again, before I start, just brief information about this. So because our language didn't have speakers for 70 years, this language, it's been told for generations and generations, long before Europeans came into the Bay Area in Chochenyo, and then it adapted to be told in Spanish as a result of the Spanish and the Mexicans coming in. And then when the Americans came in, it became told in English. And after the revitalization started taking hold, one of my first big projects was to translate these stories back into Chochenyo. So it's like this huge reversal of not having our stories in our language to having them being told in our language yet again. So it's very, very, very special to have the language be told within have the story be told within our native language that we love very much. And as I'm telling the story, since there isn't going to be anybody translating it, I would like you to think and to just think about how the language sounds and the fact that this is the oldest language of what we call Oakland today. So before Oakland heard any other language, it's heard Chochenyo first for thousands of years. Okay. Uyakis roek ne mak warep tak yarote payan hit kanakshe. Aye payan hit kanakshe amashmite ya payan moekma aloni. Imhen tuhi toekshikma watishek makruet ka yara kat halkin. Aye kiekne makwetish payan hit kanakshe ya watin. Makwetish ki mayan. Aye mayan truekne. Mayan ki ne takishmak. Uksharit erete urkishima. Aye ne atakishmak kikne ta mayan. Anamayan nesa erete urkishima yarute makruetka. Aye mayan ki emrashu nesa. Emrashu nesa. Uksharit nesa urkishima. Ayene atakishmak kikne. Okay, why not? Nesa mayan watin ne arukush atakishmak. Aye mayan ki ne arukush atakishmak. Nesa atakishmak uksharit pamu. Ayene atakishmak kikne ta mayan. Anamayan nesa erete pamu tamakruetka. Aye mayan ki emrashu nesa. Uksharit ne pamu. Aye ne atakishma kikne tamayan. Okay, why not? Ayanesa mayan watin ne tarashikma ta makruet ka. Ay mayan kik ne tarashikma. Nesa uksharit ayayawatin kakun. Ay rote makruet ka ne potewish ta makenen. Ay ne tarashikma kikne ta mayan. Anamayan ne kakun yarute erete wetalia yarute nesa. Ayane nesa mayan kikne ne tarashikma emrashu tarashikma. Emrashu yawatin nekne kakun tak. Ayane netarashikma kikne. Okay, why not? Nesa arokush aitakishmak uksharet ne urokishima. Arokush aitakishmak uksharit ne pamu. Aye ne tarashikma watinekne makruet ka ya potewish tamak enen. Ayanesa mayan yarute makenut ka ya watishek ne halkin irete urukishima potewish enen aye ne pamu tamak payan. Aye payan hitkenakshe ya watinekne makruet ka aye payan hitkenakshe hitikne ne urukishima ta payan aye payan hitkenakshe ammakne ne urukishima aye ammakne erete urukishima hosi payan aye payan hitkenakshe hashep wetel aye watinekne makruetka aye payan hitkenakshe watin makruetka aye makmuekma hitikni payan hitkenakshe aye kikne mayan ana payan hitkenakshe rote makruetka nesa aye mayan ki ne muekma yua ta mak chormo nesa mak muekma yua ta mak chormon kanak truekne payan hitkenakshe watinekne ta mak muekma aye hitikni mak tupentak aye ne takishmak warka aye ne tarashikma kikne tamak mayan anna aye mayan kikne kanak truekne yuatam turu kanak truekne yarote maktupentak yarote ne wetel urush yarote ne payan aye payan hitkenakshe wati nesa aye hiti nesa aye wati ne tupentak aye chachapune yanu aye chachapune yanu aye ya hitikne ne urush aye payan hitkenakshe rotonomo aye pap aye payan hitkenakshe hashep erete homoshikima yarute maktarach vernihimu aye mayan kikne makmuekma nesa yatish payan hitkenakshe Tamakchachapu im ishui nesa. Aye yamuek maturu aye chachekne mak ishui. Aye nesa payan hitkanakshe akwena rote mak peretska nomo. The end. So the story goes something like, so again, this is a very old story, and it's rooted in morals and values, and it tells lessons, okay? And so, you know, how stories start off a long, long time ago, but this wasn't very far away. It was probably maybe 5 miles from here or so. There was this evil creature called the blood monster. And its favorite food was the blood of Ohlone people. And so you're all safe, but I wouldn't be. But but what it did was it would go from village to village and terrorize the people and eat the blood of the Ohlones. And so one day there were these runners, because we didn't have email or Facebook or anything back then. So the way that messages would get spread is we would have runners that would come from long distances, and they would spread a message to somebody, and then that person would run a long distance and spread that message, and then that person, and so on and so on. So one day these runners came from a far village, and they came to this powerful Ohlone village, and they told the Wetish, which is the headman or the kapitan, that that blood monster was on his way. So the headman, the Wetish, asked his very best friend Coyote, what do I do? And Coyote decided to make a plan. And everybody trusted Coyote. Everybody was loyal to Coyote because Coyote never let down at people. And he was a confidant. And so what Coyote did was he asked some of the women in the village to make lots and lots of baskets, the watertight baskets that would hold our soup, because we didn't have pottery in this part of the world. We ate our soup out of watertight basketry. And so the woman said, why? It's far away and we're all tired. I'm sorry, it's not far away. It's getting the story a little mixed up. They said, we have lots of baskets and we're all tired, and these baskets take a very long time to make. And Coyote said, please, will you do this? We need these baskets. And so the woman said, okay, why not? And then Coyote went to other women in the village and asked them to make as much acorn soup as they can make. And these women said, but we have lots of acorn soup already, and everybody already ate dinner. Why do we need more acorn soup? And it takes a long time to make. And Coyote again, he pleaded, and he said, please, I need you to do me this favor, but I can't tell you why. And the woman said, okay, why not? We'll do it for you. We trust you. So then Coyote went to the men in the village, and he asked the men to go down south and collect as much of the red mineral that they could that would make paint. And the men, they said, but it's so far and we're tired. Those mines are all the way down in San Jose, and they're far off, and we're just too tired to go right now. And then Coyote said, please, I need your help with this. So the guys, they put their pride aside and they said, okay, fine, we'll go and do this for you. So after everybody trusted Coyote, and Coyote had the watertight soup baskets and the fake and the acorn soup and the red dye, what he did was he made fake blood. Okay, so he dyed the acorn soup, and he put it in the soup baskets, and he put as many of those soup baskets as he had on the main road, the Inutka, leading to this big Ohlone village. And so what the blood monster did was he started to catch wind of all these soup baskets of blood. And what he did was he started to eat. And he started to eat and eat and eat and eat. And as evil as he is, he's also a glutton, and he's also very, very, very stupid. So as he would try to eat, he couldn't stop himself. So he just kept eating and eating and eating. And as he ate, he would get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And then finally, he made his way to the entrance of this large Ohlone village. And the people saw Blood Monster coming into the village, and they all started screaming, and they were frightened, and they were afraid. And they told Coyote, they said, "Why would you do this to us? Why would you send Blood Monster right into our village? We trusted you." And Coyote said, "Don't worry, I have a plan." So the people, the women are crying, and the men are upset, and everybody's going into their houses, their tule houses. And what they don't realize is that Coyote placed the largest basket of this fake, blood in the center of the roundhouse, which is in the center of the village. And these roundhouses are, for us, they're like our churches. They're like our mosques. They're like our synagogues. They're our holy places. They're our assembly halls. And they're in the middle. They would often be in the middle of most of the villages that are here in the East Bay. So the Blood Monster, he passes all the people. He passes all of the villagers. And he tries to make his way to get that last basket of acorn soup that's dyed red. And what he doesn't realize is that as he tries to push his way into the roundhouse, into this door that's very small, he gets stuck because he's so big at this point. And he tries to push his way in, and he tries to push his way in, and he's so big that he can't fit. And what he doesn't realize is that Coyote placed arrow points, obsidian points, needles, and rocks, and all kinds of sharp objects along that doorway, and then he covered that doorway with brush and thicket. So as Blood Monster tries to make his very last push inside of that roundhouse, he pops. It goes pop, pop, pop. And he turns into 1,000 mosquitoes. And so after he turned into all of these mosquitoes, then Coyote told the villagers, the Muekma, the people, Nesha Yatish Payanhit Kanakshe, which means now you can defeat the Blood Monster. Chachapu im Ishui, so by slapping your hands. And so the people, little by little, defeated the Blood Monster, and they took him out piece by piece. But evil would always be around just a little bit by whenever you would see mosquitoes floating around and flying in the air. But the morals that were passed down to me when I was younger about this story is that if you have a very large problem, and if you try to tackle it all at once, like the Blood Monster was a huge problem, and if people try to tackle this all at once, they likely wouldn't succeed. But if they broke it down piece by piece, little by little, and tackled each of those individual pieces one by one, then they'll likely win and they'll succeed. The other part of the story is that you trust the people who are good to you. In this case, the coyotes that are good to you. And Coyote was a confidant, and he was trusted by the villagers. And so you stay good to the people that are good to you. And the other value that still sticks with me is that you don't run away from your fears. And so it would have been easy for the wetfish, the headman, the leader of the village, to just easily pack up and to go run the villagers into the hills or far away. But instead, he decided to consult with Coyote, who decided to confront the evil coming at the village head on. And so it's not running away from your fears, but it's making sure that you that you confront your fears, and that you stay strong. And so all of these values were passed down, and this is one story, but again, there's many others that have been passed down in our community, and it's very fortunate and wonderful for us that we're able to tell these stories again in our original language, Chochenyo. So the way we say thank you is we say Kishorshe Kinnan, which means to me, good is my heart, or my heart is good. So thank you very much.